ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखं नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम्। ओम। पेज 5 वर्स 3। दुर्लभं त्रयमेवैतत् दैवानुग्ररहेतुकं मनुष्यत्वं मुमुक्षुत्वं महापुरुषसंश्रयः। लब्ध्वा कथञ्चित् नरजन्म दुर्लभं तत्रापि पुंस्त्वं श्रुतिपारदर्शनं यस्वात्ममुक्त्यै न यतेत मूढधीः स आत्मः स्वं विनहन्ति असद्ग्रहात्। इतः कोऽन्वस्ति मूढात्मा यस्तु स्वार्थे प्रमाद्यति दुर्लभं मानुषं देहं प्राप्य तत्रापि पौरुषम्। पठन्तु शास्त्राणि यजन्तु देवान् कुर्वन्तु कर्माणि भजन्तु देवताः आत्मैक्यबोधेन विना विमुक्तिः न सिद्ध्यति ब्रह्मशतान्तरेऽपि। अमृतत्वस्य नाशास्ति वित्तेनेत्येव हि श्रुतिः ब्रवीति कर्मणो मुक्तेः अहेतुत्वं स्फुटं यतः. We had looked at the meaning of these 5 verses, and in summary, essentially what Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada is saying in these 5 verses is that the birth as a human being amongst the crores of different species that are possible, the birth as a human being is very rare and must be prized. That too, to have mumukshutvam or an intense desire for liberation and association with Mahapurushas, with Gyanis, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham, people who have realized Brahman themselves. These three things are very, very rare indeed. And having them is a result of Ishvara's anugraha. Therefore, if one has somehow achieved this very rare human birth, and along with it have the natural born right to study the scriptures, and if one has actually studied the scriptures but fails to strive for liberation, then that person has really lost something very, very valuable. And therefore, Acharya says that that is a delusional attitude because they are giving up what is in their best interest. Itah konu asti modhatma yastu swarthe pramadyati. And they are doing this out of pramada, out of carelessness. And then he goes on to say that the only means to moksha is through jnana or knowledge. Without having knowledge, irrespective of what else one does in life, be it material or spiritual, one will not attain liberation even in 100 lifetimes of Brahma Shatantarepi. And here he quotes the Shruti from the Maitreyi Brahmanam, Amritatvasya Nashasti Vittena. There is no hope for Amritatvam or moksha through wealth or any other actions, and therefore one must focus on the jnana sadhana if one has the adhikara for jnana. So now we will look at Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal's commentary on these 5 verses put together. It is a long sentence, so we will break it up into smaller pieces. Yato bahujanmarjita sukruta vishesha prapyam manusha paurushadikam. Acharya is saying, because the birth as a human being, that too a male, is only secured because of the punya that has been accrued from several lifetimes. Continuing, yatascha swarthe apramattena purushena bhavitavyam, and because one must not be forgetful or unconcerned or careless about one's own spiritual welfare. Yatascha atyantika dukha nivritti niratishaya sukharupa mokshaha atmaikya bodhena vina karmakanda adhyayana tad anushthanaadirupa karmakalapena sakshan navirbhavati. That is, because the permanent end, negation of sorrow, atyantika dukkha nivritti, and the attainment of the state of unconditional bliss, niratishaya sukha prapti, is not possible without the knowledge of the identity of the self with Brahman. Atmaikya bodhena vina navir bhavati. Even though one may have done the study of the Karma Kanda and follow the rituals that have been outlined in the Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda adhyayana tad anushthanadirupa karma kalapena sakshan navir bhavati. The use of the word sakshat here in the commentary is a concession that Karma Kanda does play a role, but it is not a direct role. It does play a role through the medium of chitta shuddhi or mental purity, but merely by performing the rituals outlined in the Karma Kanda, one cannot directly attain liberation of the nature that we have spoken about without the knowledge of the identity of the self as Brahman. Continuing, यतश्च श्रुतिरेव साक्षादिममर्थम् अमृतत्वस्य नाशास्ति वित्तेन इति वित्तसाध्यकर्मणः साक्षान् मोक्षोपयोगित्वं प्रत्यक्षयेप्सीत् अतः विमुक्त्यै प्रयतेत विद्वान् इति. This truth that karma or rituals do not lead to moksha has been stated in the Shruti itself with the words Amritatvasya nashasti vittena. There is no hope for immortality with wealth. Now, a question may arise. This Shruti is saying that wealth does not lead to moksha. Where does it say that karma does not lead to moksha? To answer such a doubt, Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal is saying Vittasadhya karmanaha. That is, what is achieved by vittam or wealth is karma. One uses wealth to perform rituals. Therefore, Shruti is saying that wealth is not an independent end in itself. It is a means. In this context, it is a means to karma. And the performance of karma does not directly lead to moksha. For that, jnana is required, and therefore, the wise men should strive for liberation through attaining that Brahma Jnana which is necessary to achieve that liberation. With this, Acharya not only comments on the verses that precede this, but he also establishes the connection with the next verse, the Sangati, with verse number 8, which starts with the words Ato Vimuktei Prayateta Vidvan, which were the last few words in the commentary. So Acharya has connected the set of verses that precede this, verses 3 to 7, with this verse 8 through the short 3 or 4 line commentary that we just went through right now. With that, we will move to verse number 8. Ato vimuktei prayateta vidvan sanyasta bahyartha sukhasprihas san santam mahantam samupetya deshikam tenopadishtartha samahitatma. The meaning of this verse is that the wise man, therefore, should strive for, do a lot of prayatna for vimukti, for liberation. And how should he do it? He should do it by sanyasta bahyartha sukhasprihasan, by being untouched and giving up all the pleasures that arise because of contact with external objects. The mind constantly goes outward for most of us, and we are seeking for external pleasures for our personal enjoyment and for our personal satisfaction. But the Shruti says that the happiness of moksha is not to be achieved in things that are outside, but in detaching oneself from those things and focusing on the liberating knowledge. And therefore, a wise man should give up those external pleasures in his path to moksha. Santam mahantam samupetya deshikam. One must approach a deshika, a guru, who is Santam and Mahantam. That is, he is someone who is residing in Brahman, who is abiding in Brahman, and therefore he is none other than Sat, existence which is Brahman itself. As the Mundaka Shruti says, Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmanah nirvedamayat nasti akritah kritena tad vijnanartham sa gurumevabhigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtham. Not only must he be a shrotriya, be well versed in the scriptures, he must be a brahmanishtha. He must abide in that Brahman. And the Shruti also says, Brahmavid apnoti param. Brahmaveda brahmaiva bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman itself. Therefore, the one who abides and who knows Brahman becomes Brahman himself. He himself is Sat. And that is what is being said here. And he possesses all those superlative qualities that have been outlined in the scriptures. And having approached such a guru for knowledge, Tenopadishtartha Samahitatma. One must concentrate one's mind on the teaching that such a superlative guru has given him. And if one were to do those things, give up external pleasures, approach a Brahmagyani, learn from him, and then abide in that knowledge, one will certainly achieve mukti. Therefore, all wise men must make efforts to achieve that Brahmagyana in the manner described herein. Let us read the commentary by the Jagadguru. Vidvaniti nityanitya viveki katitaha yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkha yonaya evate आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः इति गीतासु बुधशब्देनार्थस्य अस्य सूचितत्वात्. So here Acharya is saying that by the word Vidvan, Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada is referring to that person endowed with the Viveka, the discriminating intellect with which he can distinguish between what is real and what is unreal, what is eternal and what is ephemeral. Acharya is drawing a parallel with the Gita verse wherein Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that the bhogas, the external pleasures, the joys that come from the contact, samsparshaja bhogaha, with external objects lead to sorrow only. Dukkha yonayaha evate. They are the basis for future sorrow. So if you are trying to get some sort of pleasure from external objects, please know that contained within them is the seed for future sorrow. Because, why does he say that? Because they are adyantavantaha. They have a beginning and they have an end. Whatever has a beginning must have an end. And therefore, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, son of Kunti, do not allow your intellect to wander about seeking those pleasures. Here, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is making a very important point. He is saying that external objects may give some joys, but please know that any joy that happens at a particular point in time, forget joys, anything that happens in a particular point in time which has birth will necessarily have an death also, will end also. So, if you are getting a particular joy from possessing an object or experiencing an object, that joy, because it has a beginning, will also end at some time. And when it ends, it will create sorrow for you. Because the loss of joy and the attachment one has to joy will be keenly felt when the object goes and when the joy goes. Therefore, if you are looking for permanent happiness, do not allow your intellect to be swayed by these external objects because they will not give you happiness. So the Jagadguru is essentially connecting the Buddha, the intelligent wise man of the Gita referred to in this verse, with the Vidwan of the Viveka Chudamani, referred to by Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada. Continuing, Vaishayika Sukhasya Anityatvam Dyotayati Bahyartheti. We had already seen this. The temporary nature of external happiness, or the happiness that comes from external objects, Vaishayika Sukham, is what is being referred to by the word Bhahyartha, external objects, in the Viveka Chudamani verse. Arthanam Bhahyattvena Agantukataya Sarvadikatva Tat Prayojya Sukhavirbhavasyapi Tadrushatvam iti. As the objects of sense pleasures are external to oneself, and just like any other things in the world, they are subject to arrival and departure, agantukam. They are impermanent in nature. The permanence is absent in them, and therefore, any happiness that arises from those objects, that happiness too is also agantukam. It arrives and goes, and therefore, one must not focus or desire these things because we know that it is going to leave us. Ato vivekina purushaha dhaureyena tatra spruha tyaktavya iti prayatna prakaram pratamamaha sanyasta bahyartha sukha spruhas san iti. Thus the nature of effort that must be put in is first being described by Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada through the word sanyasta bahyartha sukha spruhas san. One must give up the desire for the joys that external objects bring and remain in that desireless state. Thus, a wise man should seek to give up his desire for the joy that external objects bring. Continuing, Bahyashchate arthascha bahyarthaha tai sukham bahyartha sukham tasmin spruha bahyartha sukha spruha sanyasta yena iti aihika amushmika phalabhoga viragaha kathitaha. So Acharya is doing the samasa vigraha. So samasa are compound words. Now sanyasta bahyartha sukha spruha san is a compound word. So he's splitting it up and he's explaining the grammatical vigraha or how to split it up. So bahyashchate arthaha bahyarthaha. Those objects which are external are referred to as bahyarthaha. Taihi sukham, the joys that they bring is added to the compound to make it bahyartha sukham. Tasmin spruha means the desire for the joy that external objects bring. So bahyartha sukha spruha. Then he does sanyasta bahyartha sukha spruha and he says it's a bahuvrihi samasa, which means that it is referring to that individual who has given up the desire for the joys that external objects bring. Thus, by saying that, both aihika and amushmika phalabhogam are being referred to. That is, one is detached from or dispassionate about both the joys of this world and the other world, both the material benefit and the otherworldly benefits. All those joys he has given up. He is not interested in those results, is what is being meant here. Tena shruti smrutyukta karmanam nishkamanushthanena nitanta nirmali kritaswantatvam uktaprayam. So with this, Acharya is saying that it is emphasized that one should purify their mind by the performance of karma without desire or attachment to the results of the karma. By the performance of such nishkama karma, one is able to purify one's mind, and therefore one must strive to purify that mind before commencing upon a study of Vedanta Shastra. And what kind of karma should one do? It is Shruti Smriti Yukta karma. That is, it is prescribed by the Vedas and the Smritis that are based on the Vedas. And therefore, it is only such a karma when performed with a Nishkama Bhava will give the Adrishta Phalam, which is required. Adrishta Phalam means all karma can have two kinds of results. One is the Drishta Phalam and the second is the Adrishta Phalam. Drishta Phalam is that which is directly perceivable, meaning one knows that it exists because the results of it are visible, are perceptible, are experienceable. Adrishta phalam is that which we are not able to perceive, but is still necessary for us to achieve that result. So, in order to abide in Brahman, get that Brahmanyana, punya is required, and a lot of pratibandhas or obstacles to Brahmagyana need to be removed. Those obstacles themselves are invisible. We only infer that such an obstacle exists through the results, meaning that if we don't achieve the result that we want to, despite taking all effort, it means some obstacle remains. And therefore, to remove the adrishta pratibandhakam, the adrishta obstacle, the unseen obstacle, one needs adrishta punyam also. So, the Shruti Smriti Yukta Karma, the performance of that gives both Drishta Phalam in terms of Chitta Shuddhi, etc., but also gives Adrishta Phalam in terms of Adrishta Pratibandhaka Nivritti, the removal of those unseen, deep rooted obstacles that one may have. These could be psychological obstacles, these could be some other obstacles also. But in order to remove that, you need something which is extrasensory. And that extrasensory punyam, that merit, spiritual merit, can only happen through the performance of Shruti Smriti Yukta Karma. And that is what Acharya is saying, Shruti Smriti Yukta Karmanam. Continuing, Avivekinah Vishayalampatasya Astittvamapi Durlabhamiti Suchayati San iti. Acharya is saying here that those avivekis or deluded ones who do not possess the discrimination between what is eternal and what is ephemeral, and those who are constantly engaged in the pursuit of material wealth, material objects, who are constantly greedy for external objects, their existence is as good as non existence, because what they desire and what they are searching for is something which is ultimately mithya. As the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Asanneva sabhavati asad brahmeti vedachet. Those who say that Brahman does not exist are themselves as good as non existent, because what they are denying is not the existence of something which is different from them, they are denying their very own self. And the Aviveki here is being compared to those who are denying the self, because ignoring the self, they are going after Anatma, which is, after all, being Anatma, non existent, Mithya. So Acharya is saying that the word sun in Tanyasta Bahyartha Sukhas Prahas sun is referring to only the Vivekis being eligible to be called sun or sat or existent, and the Avivekis cannot be even termed as existent. With that, we will briefly pause today's session and take up the rest of the topic in the next session. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.